In female psychology, attraction is not built solely on looks, age, or financial status. It is rooted in emotional energy, stability, and the sense of safety a man can provide. Younger women often find themselves drawn toward older men, not because of materialistic motives, but because maturity offers something youth often cannot: peace. When a woman feels emotionally safe, her femininity unfolds effortlessly. She no longer needs to compete, prove, or protect herself. Instead, she can relax into her natural, nurturing energy. Emotional stability is the foundation of masculine energy. When a man is calm under pressure, when he doesn't overreact to small triggers, when he can handle life's storms with quiet strength, he communicates something profound to a woman: you are safe here. A younger woman, especially in today's chaotic dating culture, intuitively senses that kind of grounded energy. It's not about controlling her. It's about creating a space where her emotions, her chaos, and her softness can coexist without judgment. Confidence is another pillar of this attraction. True confidence isn't loud. It doesn't seek attention or validation. It's the quiet knowing of one's worth. Mature men, through time and experience, often develop this quality naturally. They no longer chase approval because they've learned to lead from within. That energy feels magnetic to a younger woman because it contrasts the uncertainty she often experiences in men her own age. She feels drawn to his calm certainty. It gives her something solid to lean into. Then comes direction, purpose. A man who knows who he is and where he's going radiates an energy of leadership. For a woman, this doesn't mean she wants to be controlled. It means she wants to walk beside someone who has vision. Women are deeply intuitive. They can feel when a man's life is built on chaos versus when it's built on intention. Older men who have found meaning in their journey often project a quiet sense of direction, and that naturally draws feminine energy toward them. Communication also plays a powerful role. A mature man listens, not just to respond, but to understand. He doesn't get defensive easily. He doesn't play emotional games. And he respects a woman's emotions even when they seem irrational. This emotional maturity creates emotional intimacy, the kind that feels safe and deeply satisfying. Younger men often confuse dominance with disrespect, but mature men understand that true power lies in self-control and empathy. Lastly, emotional security is the ultimate attraction. When a woman senses that a man's emotions are not dependent on hers, that he can stay steady even when she's not, she begins to trust him. And when trust enters the picture, attraction deepens beyond the physical. She sees him as someone who can hold her heart without breaking it, someone who can lead with calm authority, and someone whose presence brings peace instead of pressure. So when we ask why younger women prefer older men, the answer lies in psychology, not in status. They are drawn to maturity because it represents emotional strength, stability, and wisdom, the very qualities that allow a woman to fully embrace her feminine essence. It's not about age, it's about energy, the kind of energy that doesn't demand love, but earns it through consistency, confidence, and care. Emotional stability and safety are two of the most powerful psychological triggers that attract a woman on a deep, instinctive level. They are the unseen foundation upon which real attraction is built, far beyond looks, charm, or wealth. When a woman feels emotionally safe around a man, she begins to relax. Her guard drops. Her true self, her softness, her nurturing nature, everything that defines her femininity, starts to emerge. This sense of safety is not something you can fake. It's a vibration, a frequency, a consistency of behavior that communicates to her subconscious mind, you are safe here, you don't need to protect yourself. And that, in female psychology, what creates deep and lasting attraction. When a man is emotionally unstable, reactive, unpredictable, or easily angered, he creates anxiety in a woman. She starts to feel unsafe, not necessarily in a physical sense, but emotionally. She begins to question his consistency, his dependability, and his ability to lead through challenges. A woman's emotional world is complex and constantly shifting. She doesn't want a man to fix her emotions. She wants a man strong enough not to drown in them. A man's stability becomes the anchor that allows her emotions to flow freely without fear of judgment or rejection. This is where maturity comes into play. Emotional stability doesn't come from reading books or practicing surface-level confidence. It's forged through experiences, through failure, heartbreak, loss, and growth. Older men often carry this stability because they've seen life from multiple angles. They've learned not to take everything personally. They've learned patience. And most importantly, they've learned self-control. Younger men still navigating the storms of ego may struggle to offer that kind of energy because they are still reacting to life instead of responding to it. A woman subconsciously tests a man's emotional balance through her moods, her words, and even her silence. She might bring emotional waves not to manipulate, but to see if the man she's with can handle her full emotional range. If he reacts with anger, withdrawal or defensiveness, she feels emotionally abandoned. But if he stays grounded, listens, and remains calm even when she's emotional, she feels an almost magnetic pull toward him. That calmness is not weakness, it's power. It tells her, you can be yourself here, and I won't run away. Emotional safety also means predictability and character. When a man says what he means and means what he says, he builds trust. Women are intuitive. They sense the difference between words that are meant to impress and words that carry integrity. Consistency builds emotional safety over time. Every time a man follows through on his promises, no matter how small, he's telling her subconscious mind that he can be relied upon. Every time he remains calm in chaos, he tells her that his emotions are not dependent on hers. This gives her the permission to soften, to stop performing, and to rest in her feminine essence. In today's world, many women have learned to be strong, independent, and self-sufficient, not because they want to be all the time, but because they've had to be. When a woman meets a man who offers stability, she doesn't see him as controlling, she sees him as safe. That safety allows her to drop the armor she's had to wear for so long. She doesn't want to compete with his masculinity, she wants to trust it. And trust only comes when she senses that his emotions are grounded and predictable. From a psychological standpoint, emotional safety activates the part of a woman's brain associated with bonding and connection. When she feels safe, her body releases oxytocin, the hormone of love and trust. This is why women often fall for men who make them feel calm rather than those who constantly excite them. Excitement fades, but safety endures. Excitement might spark attraction, but emotional stability deepens it into love. An emotionally stable man doesn't get threatened by a woman's strength, nor does he feel the need to dominate her. He understands that leadership in a relationship isn't about control, it's about responsibility. He provides emotional structure, so both can grow. He doesn't try to fix her when she's upset. Instead, he offers presence. His silence during her storm becomes louder than any words of advice. That's what emotional safety looks like: presence over performance. Women are emotional by nature, and emotions are unpredictable. Some days she'll feel radiant. Others she might feel withdrawn or confused. The man who can stay grounded through those fluctuations becomes irresistible to her. His steadiness becomes her peace. This is why emotional stability is often mistaken for boring by immature minds, but to a woman who has lived enough to value peace over chaos, that kind of steadiness is the most attractive quality a man can have. Another aspect of emotional safety is the absence of judgment. A woman wants to be seen, not just for her beauty or her charm, but for her emotions, her fears, her flaws. When a man can listen without trying to correct her feelings, she feels seen and understood. Understanding for a woman equals safety. She doesn't want someone to argue logic when she's emotional. She wants someone who can hold space for her emotions without losing his balance. That kind of emotional containment requires strength, not sensitivity. It's also important to understand that emotional safety extends beyond how a man treats her. It's about how he treats himself. A man who is at war with his own emotions cannot create peace for another. A man who represses his feelings or lacks self-awareness ends up projecting his unresolved wounds onto the woman he's with. Emotional safety starts from within. When a man has done the inner work, healed from past pain, learned emotional discipline, and built a sense of purpose, his presence becomes naturally calming. He doesn't have to prove anything, his energy speaks for him. Younger women, consciously or subconsciously, sense this. They're not necessarily looking for an older man, but rather for the emotional energy that maturity brings. They crave a presence that can ground them, not a personality that competes with them. They desire stability because the world around them often feels unstable. They want a man who can be both strong and soft, a protector who doesn't control, a listener who doesn't judge, and a leader who doesn't dominate. Emotional stability and safety are not glamorous traits. They don't. Confidence and presence are two invisible forces that deeply attract women on a psychological level. They cannot be faked for long because they come from an inner foundation, a man's sense of self. Confidence is not arrogance, and presence is not dominance. They are both forms of inner peace, the quiet strength that radiates from a man who knows who he is and doesn't need external validation to prove it. In a world where many people seek approval, the man who stands calmly in his authenticity becomes magnetic. A woman senses it without words. She feels drawn to him, not because he's trying to impress her, but because his energy feels grounded, sure, and real. True confidence has nothing to do with appearance or social status. It's a man's ability to walk through life knowing his worth, even when things aren't perfect. It's about being comfortable in silence, being calm under pressure, and staying emotionally stable when life gets unpredictable. Women can intuitively feel whether a man's confidence is genuine or performative. When it's real, it feels steady and secure, something she can lean on. When it's fake, it feels loud, inconsistent, and fragile. Women don't want perfection, they want presence. They want to feel that when they are with a man, he's not distracted, not seeking attention elsewhere, but genuinely in the moment with her. Her presence is what separates a confident man from a merely charming one. Many men can say the right words, but few can truly listen. When a man is fully present, he makes a woman feel like she's the only one in the room. His eyes don't wander, his energy doesn't scatter. He listens with his full attention, not to respond, but to understand. That depth of attention makes a woman feel valued, respected, and emotionally connected. Female psychology thrives on emotional connection, and presence is the bridge that creates it. It communicates silently. You matter. I see you. That's why presence is far more powerful than compliments or gifts. It reaches the emotional core. Confidence in its purest form comes from self-trust. A man who trusts his own decisions doesn't need to control or convince others. He moves with quiet assurance. He doesn't need to be loud because his energy already fills the space. Women are emotionally sensitive. They pick up on energy more than words. When a man carries himself with calm certainty, it feels safe and attractive. It tells her that he's emotionally dependable. And dependability is one of the deepest emotional needs for a woman. It's what allows her to open up and trust. But confidence isn't about dominance or control. It's about direction. It's about knowing where you're going in life and standing firm in your purpose. Women are naturally drawn to purpose-driven men. It's not about power. It's about energy. A man with purpose radiates focus, and that focus creates emotional gravity. He's not easily swayed by distractions or emotional turbulence. That kind of energy draws a woman in because she feels his strength, not in his muscles or voice, but in his character. His calm becomes her comfort. Presence also requires emotional awareness. A man who is emotionally aware knows when to speak and when to stay silent, when to lead and when to listen. This balance is incredibly attractive to women because it shows maturity. Many men listen only to reply. Confident men listen to feel. They can sense her tone, her emotions, and her needs without her having to explain everything. This creates a silent form of intimacy that words can't replace. Another layer of confidence is how a man handles rejection, failure, or challenge. When things don't go his way, does he collapse emotionally or stay composed? Women observe this closely. They watch how a man treats himself when he's losing, not when he's winning, because if he can handle his own failures with grace, she knows he can handle her emotions too. Confidence that comes from resilience is irresistible. It's earned, not performed. Presence also shows up in how a man carries himself, his posture, his eye contact, his calmness in conversation. A woman feels his energy before she hears his words. If his energy says, "I am enough," she feels relaxed around him. If his energy says, "Please like me," she feels tension. Presence doesn't chase, it invites. It doesn't try to impress, it expresses. That's why many younger women are drawn to older men. With time, men often stop performing. They've been through enough to realize they don't need to prove anything to anyone. That ease creates a powerful emotional magnetism. Confidence and presence also build trust. When a woman feels that a man's words and actions align, she feels safe. She knows he's not pretending. This trust allows her to open up emotionally and mentally. The more consistent he is, the deeper the bond becomes. In contrast, when a man is inconsistent, acting confident one moment and insecure the next, she senses instability. That inconsistency creates confusion, and confusion kills attraction. Real confidence isn't afraid of vulnerability. A truly confident man doesn't hide his emotions behind ego. He can be open, but not needy. He can share, but still lead. This balance makes him deeply human, yet undeniably strong. Women are drawn to that kind of emotional courage because it shows he's connected to his heart, but guided by his mind. That's what makes him different from the emotionally unavailable or overly reactive men she might have encountered before. Ultimately, confidence and presence are about energy control. The man who can control his own energy doesn't get lost in others. He doesn't seek validation, he gives it through his stability. His calm presence gives her emotional space to breathe, and that's what allows intimacy to grow. It's not about saying the perfect thing or looking a certain way. It's about being grounded, aware, and authentically yourself. So when we talk about why younger women prefer mature men, this is one of the biggest reasons. Maturity breeds confidence that's quiet, steady, and emotionally strong. It creates a presence that doesn't need to demand attention. It naturally earns it. And in a world full of noise, distraction, and insecurity, that kind of calm, confident presence feels like peace. And peace to a woman's heart is the deepest form of attraction.